Palestine. The topic of the day is the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The all may seem so obvious to us, but here today to help go a little deeper into it. Let us begin with some important facts. To you, Jordan.
Thank you, Marley. The Dome of the Rock is a place of worship for the Jews. Islam, Muslims, and Christians also worship there too. It is located in Jerusalem. Construction was initiated by Umar Khalif Adem Ali Marez Ibn Marwan, but two engineers, Yazid ibn Salam and Marja ibn Hiwa, were in charge. The construction lasted from 689 AD to 691 AD. The Dome of the Rock has influenced religion because it is a holy place for Christians, Muslims, Jews, and Islam. It was the first Muslim masterpiece. On to you, Spencer.
Thank you, Jordan. With the basic facts stored in your knowledge, let Brian and I tell you about some current events.
Today's second topic is about a fairly recent event. Tensions between U.S. and Israel leaders have been growing recently, specifically between President Barack Obama and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The tension rose even more when on March 16th, Mr. Netanyahu stated in the election runoff, "A Palestinian state will not occur while I am Prime Minister." This caused anger in the Palestinians. 8 days later, Obama and Netanyahu met again, this time concerning the U.S. The U.S. suspected Israel spying on U.S.-led talks between the U.S. and Iran about Iran making possible nuclear weapons. Although Netanyahu said that building nuclear weapons would pose many security threats for Israel, they still denied that they spied on the talks.
The U.S. government has accused Israel of hacking to listen to confidential phone calls from the U.S. to Iran about nuclear weapons. Israel sought to share the confidential information from the United States. Of course, at least support the U.S. government's decision of going against Israel, because Palestinians deserve their land, and Israelites barged into Palestinian land and took it over. So it's only right that the Palestinians get their land back.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Looking for a delicious place to dine? Look no further than Mukalam, which is a restaurant in Arabia, and this is the way it would be spelled in English if it was in English. Dine on delicious foods like tagine bread and kebab juices. You won't be disappointed with these delicious additions to your meal. Call 1-800-YOUNG-FOOD to make a reservation or visit our website, www.mukalamfoods.com. Be sure to check out Mukalam. You won't regret it. Anyhow, does anyone remember the Holocaust and how it impacted us? Yes, Palestinians. We hate to bring up the dreaded topic, but it's for the best of your education. The Holocaust events can never be fully compared to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. As it says in 40 Questions, 40 Answers, the conflict between Israeli and Palestinians is not racial but national, and it's most certainly true. The role of the Holocaust certainly hastened the legitimacy of a Jewish home for everyone. But why should the Palestinians, who had nothing to do with the Holocaust, pay for it? In most Palestinians' eyes, we shouldn't. Even though the Holocaust has somewhat of a role in the conflict, the Palestinians shouldn't have to pay for the tragedy that they had absolutely no part of. What do you think? Broadcast your feelings on Canvas Poll and answer 3 questions about this topic. Now how about whether or not Israeli security measures are justified? Ring a bell? Yeah, I thought so. Well, there's basically no other country that receives as many terrorist attacks as Israel, resulting in extreme security. As it describes on International Policy Digest, all vehicles that arrive at the Ben Gurion Airport must first pass through a preliminary security checkpoint where armed guards search the vehicle and exchange a few words with the driver and occupants to gauge their mood and intentions. This is just one example of this is just one crazy example of the Israeli security measures and the fact that no, they don't appear to be very justified. Question to us Palestinians.
Thank you for listening. However, our time is up. See you next time.